Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. I, as always, am RizGrassStar, and this is another reaction to a death battle, the Phoenix vs. Raven. As always, the link to the original is in the description below. Before we get started, I just wanted to say thank you to some people. So without further ado, thank you to Goliath Xanatos, Little Zbot, Morgan Schroeder, Modern Hog, Leo MR, Daniel Shermer, Zeroid Gaming, Ryder551, and Edrin. You all, I don't know how much you think of your contributions to my Patreon page, but I wanted to let you know that it's because of you all that I'm able to, you know, occasionally treat myself to like fast food or to a new video game, that I'm able to buy people birthday presents that, you know, I care about in my life, that I'm able to go out and see a movie now and then, that I'm able to like contribute to my household financially at all. Without your contributions on Patreon, I just frankly would not really be able to do that. So thank you all so much. So to the death battle, Phoenix, or Jean Grey, you know, from X-Men, from Marvel, right? Versus Raven, Rachel Roth from DC. So I didn't know too much. I remembered that Jean Grey was brought up a lot in Death Battle, like for the Phoenix Force, right? To the point where I assumed that she must have been in a death battle and I just couldn't think of it. But according to the comments, Jean Grey has not yet been in a death battle. This will be her first. And we did have Raven in a death battle. If I'm not mistaken, it was Raven and Twilight Sparkle, right? I talked about that last time because it was like both, you know, they were both voiced by Tara Strong, so that was interesting. I really don't remember from that what Raven's capable of. And, you know, Phoenix Force, I knew it was like incredible cosmic powers, but I couldn't remember to what extent, right? So I think this is the first time I've ever done this for a death battle, but I went to Versus Wiki and I looked the two characters up, and it's surprising to me, but it seems that Jean Grey like absolutely has this one based upon the Versus Wiki tier system. I assume that most of you are familiar with Versus Wiki because if you're watching death battle reactions, you're probably big into the Versus community. Like me, as far as the Versus community is concerned, these reactions, that's it. That's my involvement in this community, you know? I don't otherwise like go out and look stuff up. I don't like fantasize about Versus matchups. I don't do research, you know? It's just like, I watch the videos, and I get my predictions, and I enjoy the animation, and that's it, right? So I do think this is the first time. The only other time that I've really done research, like the biggest one was Tracer vs. Scout, and then there was kind of Fulgor and Sector. I didn't go as deep, but, you know, I did look at them up. Those are the only two that I remember, though. And then this one, yes, Versus Wiki. So according to that, Phoenix Force could end up going into, like, oh gosh, what was it even called? Because there's the multiverse, and apparently they consider it on that. There's like low complex multiverse, and then the complex multiverse, and then high complex multiverse, and then there's hyperverse, and then there's outerverse, I think. So just even further beyond, and I'm pretty sure the Phoenix Force could go like low oververse, you know? So there's that. And then when I looked at Ravens, it was like, yeah, at her peak, she can go like solar system level. What? So, unless I'm completely misunderstanding how that tier system worked, or there were like big exceptions that I just am unaware of, you know? Because like it classifies them as like, you know, 4C, 1A, whatever, right? And then I looked up what those tiers meant. That's all I did. But it seems like it's ridiculously in Jean Grey's favor here, in the Phoenix's favor. And it confuses me, because usually Death Battle tries to make them closer, or if not closer, at least thematic. And so I guess they might be thematically related as far as like Jean Grey has demon energy around her or something like that, right? I don't know. And so maybe it was more the theme that paired them together, and, you know, Phoenix and Raven, the birds, of course. But I don't know. This could be another like SpongeBob Aquaman kind of matchup, like beyond the theme. Like I figure it's either that or Raven has something that specifically can counter Jean Grey or the Phoenix Force as a whole or whatever, right? But if there's that big of a difference where it's like oververse levels versus solar system levels, how could Jean Grey not crush Raven? It really confuses me. Like, I might have done myself more harm than good by looking at the wiki. But I don't really have anything else to say at this point, so with that, let's get to watching.
The Hazarathian Demon Witch of the Teen Titans.
If absolute power corrupts absolutely, in our quest to contain the beast within, we may well be consumed by armor and skills to find out who would win a death battle.
That's right.
In Greek mythology, the majestic phoenix bursts into flames upon its death,
Right.
then rises from its own ashes.
Pretty
it's
cool.
a symbol of nature, rebirth, the dawning and setting of the sun, the beginning and end of life.
A cycle poor Jean Grey was thrown into way too young when her
Poor
best friend
Jean
was
Grey.
struck by a car right in front of her.
Just like a phoenix, the trauma of Annie's death was the start of something new. Her mutant power of telepathy. In Annie's fleeting moments, Jean bonded with her mind, and they experienced her death together.
By the way, Jean was 10
Enter Professor
Yeah, that
Charles
wouldn't be good.
Xavier, who hoped to help Jean through her trauma.
and was also a telepath. He taught Jean how to control her ex-Jean, and she used her powers to find other troubled mutant kids around the country.
Yay!
Thus, the first iteration of these marvelous mutant superheroes was born, the X-Men.
Cyclops, Iceman, Beast, Angel, and of course, Marvel Girl. We can workshop that name.
Yeah, all right.
Jean's potential as a telepath was incredible, so far beyond Xavier's in fact that he installed psionic blocks in her mind to limit her full power. At least until she was mature enough to wield it safely.
She
Oh,
can
he's
read
also
and
not an
control
Omega
thoughts,
class mutant. I
communicate
said that last time, it was
telepathically,
wrong.
Rewrite and erase memories, manipulate each one of your senses, and project her mind into the astral plane.
Oh.
Jean is also an expert telekinetic, capable of forming energy barriers, deconstructing giant machines, and even halting the blood flow to your brain.
Starting
Oh.
to feel like the guy with big hands who can climb good is a little out of place, but Jean's life would change forever. Again, on one fateful mission.
Trapped
Uh-oh.
piloting a ship through a solar storm, the Marvel Girl came into contact with an incredible energy. It merged with her, greatly enhancing her power.
But there was a catch. This thing wasn't just a power boost. It was a giant space bird.
More like a cosmic being, which is the embodiment of the Big Bang, destined to consume all of existence at the end of time.
I
This
forgot that she
is
just,
the
like,
Phoenix Force.
I guess
Well,
sucked it
Virgin
up.
with the fire
I thought it
chicken
was
didn't
part
turn
of
out
her.
so great. Because all
Like,
it wanted
you know.
to do was blow shit up. Why don't I get a Phoenix Force? That sounds awesome.
The Phoenix Force
That's why you don't
desires
get one.
destruction. Its fire will one day consume all of existence. That's its purpose.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, this need for annihilation would prove too much for Jean, manipulating and corrupting her until a thoughtless moment where she obliterated an entire civilized planet. Billions of lives simply erased. This
Only one
was the
planet,
dawn
though.
of the Dark Phoenix.
That's,
When
you
Jean
know.
figured out what happened, she was
the
not
grand scheme
okay.
of things.
No matter how hard she tried to kill the Phoenix's influence, it would always rise back up. Because it's a Phoenix.
And
Yeah.
so, rather than allow this absolute power to consume her, Jean heroically sacrificed herself, ending the threat.
What a beautifully tragic story about
The
the corrupting
end.
influence of power on the human spirit.
Not really. Turns out that wasn't actually Jean. The Phoenix was just kind of pretending to be her. She came back later. Oh,
What?
and she
What?
merged with the Phoenix again.
Well, that's stupid. But hey,
So how did she get rid of the
absolute
Phoenix the
power may
first
corrupt,
time?
Absolutely, but it also absolutely owns.
As the Phoenix, Jean can channel vast amounts of cosmic energy, absorb power from others, manipulate matter down to the subatomic level, and even scorch your soul with psionic flames.
Flames
Interesting,
that
your
take
soul.
the shape of the Phoenix itself, grow to the size of a universe, and burn hotter than a supernova. The Phoenix can basically do anything. Stop time, open portals, see the future, raise the dead, and create pocket realities just for fun.
She can
Wow.
fly at massively faster than light speeds and wage mental battles across infinite distances in seconds.
El Pollo Loco even boosted Jean's natural mutant abilities to the max. She's physically strong enough to fight the Thing, and she's a stronger telepath than Moondragon was with the Mind Gem. You know,
Oh.
the Infinity Gauntlet bling that
Yes,
controls
I don't know
all minds
Moondragon.
in the universe.
And should
But I
Jean
know of
fall,
that,
the
the
Phoenix
stone.
can always resurrect her. So long as her soul remains intact, it will reform her body no matter how many times it's destroyed.
Which is good, since she's died literally 15 times.
Really?
As of this recording, at least. She probably died again in 2024.
Did she actually?
When Jean's not around, the Phoenix has jumped into other people. Rachel
Okay.
Ray, Hope Summers, Firehair. It's got a thing for redheads.
Oh, do you think it was a bad idea to have Jocelyn study it?
Uh-oh.
I demand a raise!
Nah, she's fine.
Well, even with plenty of hosts to choose from, the Phoenix would often end up back with Jean.
Like a clingy, codependent ex. While Jean might be stuck in a kind of love Ouroboros with Scott, Logan, Emma, basically everyone, her true bestie is the Phoenix.
Because according to the Phoenix Force, she is its perfect vessel. The Phoenix is powerful enough to stalemate Galactus and defeat the being Necrom, who was going to collapse the multiverse into a singularity. With Old Man Logan as its host, the Phoenix saved the entire Omniverse from destruction.
Yeah, basically the embodiment of the previous multiverse got mad and tried to flood reality with his evil juices. So, Old Man Phoenix held back a tsunami that would have erased all of Marvel Comics.
Let's move on. Even after multiple possessions, Jean was never quite free from the influence of the Dark Phoenix and the threat of its ultimate destruction.
But Jean's like the nicest and most patient person ever, so she eventually sort of got through to the Phoenix Force.
And with their combined power emotionally stabilized, Jean reached her ultimate state of being, the White Phoenix of the Crown.
Sounds like a Dark Souls boss, and just as bullshit.
Kind of, yeah.
White Phoenix is a perfect merging of Jean and the Phoenix Force, allowing her to control time and space and hold friggin' universes in her hand.
And giving her dominion over the White Hot Room, the highest plane of existence and the center of the Phoenix's power. Beyond the far shore of reality, it is a dimension the Phoenix has complete control over and even gets stronger while in it.
But Phoenix could never get out of that let's kill everyone mindset, so Jean finally confronted it and dumped his ass. Yeah, she dumped the cosmic god of destruction.
I thought the point of the balance, though, with the whole White Crown, Phoenix, whatever.
Marvel Girl again, roll it back.
But like a phoenix, the two will inevitably rise again and reunite, refreshed and renewed, with a passion that can melt stars and set our souls aflame.
Okay. Well, there was Phoenix.
Once upon a midnight dreary, the demon Lord Trigon had a plan to escape his extra-dimensional prison.
By manipulating a poor young Gothamite named Angela Roth, he would spawn a half-demon child that would summon him to Earth.
See, this is one of the many reasons you don't live in Gotham. Thankfully, Angela was rescued
Gotham
and
kind of
taken
sucks.
to a dimension called Azarath, filled with a bunch of smelly space hippies.
And there, she would have her doomed daughter, Raven.
The Azarathians were terrified of Raven. If she ever lost control of herself, even for a moment, she could release Trigon into the world and kickstart the apocalypse.
So they trained her to control her mind, forbidding her from feeling any emotions whatsoever.
Yeah, that must work.
Trigon's influence, which is smart since even without Trigon, she's strong enough to accidentally destroy the universe.
I don't know, Wiz.
The universe?
If I get too mad,
what happened to the whole solar system level?
The actual devil might just make me a tad bit stressed out of my goddamn mind. I call it the prequel trilogy School of Psychotherapy. And much like a Jedi, Raven learned some sick magical powers.
Raven is an empath and can sense the emotions of others even from across the universe. She can shape those emotions so precisely it acts as a form of mind control.
She can sense your presence, absorb and redirect your pain, steal your energy for herself, communicate telepathically, erase memories, or just turn your brain off and put you to sleep.
Her telepathy is so strong she could resist a mental attack from the Hive Queen, whose psionic abilities could overpower even Superman's mental defenses.
God, I could use that some nights. And he can resist mind control from dudes who can destroy the multiverse. Seems like she's got this emotion shit locked down. What's the problem?
Her very soul. While her body is ostensibly human, her soul is the locus for Trigon's corruption, and she can separate it from her own body in the form of her silhouette.
It's a bird! It's a plane! No, that's just a bird!
This soul self is non-corporeal and can be controlled from an interstellar distance away. She can use it to fly, teleport across dimensions, possess people, smash ponies like a battering ram, and even absorb things into a pocket dimension of infinite darkness.
For the nightmares!
It can also regenerate from complete disintegration.
Sort of like a soul healing factor. You know, they probably should have thought twice about making the person who could accidentally end the world such a badass.
Given Raven's fear of her dreaded destiny, it's fitting that her soul self should take the full omen.
Hey,
yeah, I'm sure that was by
Raven's
mistake.
bad news.
But she was named such, etc.
You wanna fight me, motherfucker? I'll nibble you. Hey, I'll nibble your eyes out. I'll nibble you. See ya, suckers.
Oh. Just gonna let him go.
They symbolize assholes.
Upon turning 18, Raven feared Trigon's growing presence and went to Earth to form a super team capable of combating him.
Screw you, Satan! It's the Teen Titans! These kids may seem like the Justice League Junior Edition, but with Raven as their white and black mage combo, they were out kicking butt and saving the world.
You can add Warrior too. On one of their adventures, Raven's physical body was enhanced to match Donna Troy, an Amazonian strong enough to withstand a blast from the Universe Buster Monarch.
Well, that's just bad game design.
Raven's vast arsenal of magic includes lightning, force fields, illusions, telekinesis, shape-shifting, matter manipulation, stopping and traveling through time, and most
She also has
dangerously,
time
her
control?
control over souls.
She can rip your soul out of your body and absorb it to get stronger. Even controlling a universe full of souls all at once is no big deal.
And should someone attempt to possess her, she can tether their soul to hers, absorbing them.
Like in a possible future timeline where she did just that to the 4 Horsemen of the Apocalypse. She got strong enough to destroy all of creation. She was called the Unkindness, which is actually the term for a group of ravens. Neat.
All of these powers made her an incredible asset for the Titans. No longer alone in Azarath, awaiting inevitable doom, Raven found a new home with new friends.
And a potential green-skinned love interest that DC is too cowardly to commit to. Come on, guys! We all ship it!
Alongside Raven, the Titans have defeated the Church of Blood, the alien conqueror Mongol, and the Brotherhood of Evil.
Okay,
However,
sure.
the more Raven used her powers, the more Trigon's influence grew, unleashing a frightening transformation. Dark Raven.
You
yeah,
can
we're still
throw
going.
it
I
with
thought we
the
were done with her.
window. As Dark Raven, she's a force of pure destruction. A perfect vanguard for her pup's hellish army.
Like in the New 52 era, where she led Trigon's forces, conquering worlds for, quote, an eternity.
Even destroying her body won't do much. She'll just keep fighting as a messed up demon ghost.
But the Titans were not fair-weather friends. With their love and support, Raven overcame her dark side and purified her soul to battle her all-powerful father.
We've been talking around him for a while, but Trigon is one of the biggest, baddest mother effers in DC Comics. Literally, evil personified. He's wiped out the Justice League with no effort, including our old pal, pre-Crisis Superman.
The
Oh,
same
gosh.
Superman who flew so fast he broke the bonds of infinity. Trigon's destroyed entire universes, matched the fifth-dimensional imp Mr. Mxyzptlk, and even killed Dr. Fate in an alternate dimension. The same Dr. Fate who flew across reality at the velocity of God.
Pretty
Right.
strong, but so is Raven. You see, Raven was raised as a pacifist, afraid that if she let loose her father's powers would kill everyone she loved.
But in truth, Raven's power never belonged to her father in the first place. It was hers. And Trigon had no idea how strong his daughter really was.
With the Rings of Azar, Raven bonded with Azarath to overpower Trigon and destroy his soul. Even though her body got nuked in the process, she just kept superheroing without it. That's right, as a ghost.
But even without her father's direct influence, Raven's incredible power continued to prove impressive. Like the time she fought the Spectre, an unbound angel of wrath whose conflicts often threaten all of reality.
Long have the legends of old proclaimed the awesome might of the GF, but I never knew they were true until this day, Wizard.
Okay. Portents of Doom are nothing new for
Not
this
used to him calling him
shadow-clad
Wizard.
sorceress. With her teammates at her side, there's no future this Titan can't overcome.
Oh my gosh.
All right, the combatants are set. We've run the data through all possibilities.
It's time for a
battle!
bird battle, excuse me. Pause. Versus Wiki, how were you so incredibly wrong? They put, I'm not even joking, here's what I did, right? So I went to the Versus Wiki and I typed in Raven, and I picked out every Raven, which I think there's just like 3 or 4, every Raven that was that same character, you know? Because there was one about the comics, and then there was one from Teen Titans, and there was one from Teen Titans Go, and I think there was one from the animated DC movies, you know? And the highest of all of them was like 4A or 4C, I don't remember, but it was the one where I think it was just solar system. And if not, it had to have just been one level higher than that, like Galaxy, right? But here, she's literally taking down, like, Trigon, that was his name, right? Who apparently just, like, easily defeated all of the Justice League at once? And like, they talked about how she did that, like, with the rings or whatever, right? But then in the box it said that she did it again on her own later, without that boost. So how was the Versus Wiki so inaccurate, or like, did I look it up wrong? Okay, let me go. I'm gonna go to the Versus Wiki and I'm gonna look up Rachel Roth, because maybe Raven was like an incorrect title and it made her much more limited. I don't know, but I'm gonna check because that's madness. Attack potency varies up to solar system level. Durability varies up to solar system level. Like, the only thing I'll give it is that it says comics post Flashpoint specifically, whereas maybe like most of these super powerful feats were pre-Flashpoint. But is there a way that I can check that on this wiki? I don't know. Do you understand why I don't do my own research or anything? Because things don't make sense. So, like, that makes it so much more difficult, because at the beginning it was just like, oh, well, Raven is solar system level, Jean Grey is Oververse or whatever it was level, right? So of course Jean Grey was going to win. But now we have, you know, like, I can't say for sure that this means that Raven would defeat Superman, because it's not, like, whenever you're taking these versus things, right? It's not a rock, paper, scissors. It's not like A is greater than B, B is greater than C, therefore A is greater than C, because it's more complicated than that. You know, like, if we're just looking at strict numbers, you can do that kind of thing. But here we're looking at individual characters with unique abilities, you know? And they have their own sets of experiences, whether that's just time or like what they've done with that time, you know, Kronos or Kairos. And so you can't just necessarily say that Raven would be able to beat Superman and the Flash and Wonder Woman, let alone all at once, even though she defeated Trigon, who supposedly did do exactly that. But that's still a huge thing to consider. And so one of my biggest things right now that's holding me back, because like right now I'm not sure. You know, one of the things that's holding me back from any sort of commitment is that, like, we have Raven with, like, basically being able to wipe out creation, right? What does that mean exactly? What does creation mean? How does it compare to Jean Grey's, like, all of Marvel Comics? Is, like, the Omniverse the same as creation? Otherwise, I would think that creation would be a step up. I think it would be weird if you had, like, you know, universe, multiverse, hyperverse, creation, omniverse, over, like, whatever, right? So, like, creation has got to be way up there, but I don't know if it's more than omniverse. It might just be another way of saying omniverse, you know? I genuinely don't know. They both have control of time. They can both just kind of, like, shut each other's brains off. They can both come back from death, you know? Jean Grey has now died apparently 16 times in the comics, like, as of July 26th, they said. So, that's the thing. But the thing that I'm currently thinking right now is that a lot of Jean Grey's stuff, with her coming back, has been specifically, it was like she can come back with just mental and spirit energy, you know? Her body's obliterated, but she has mental and spirit energy, and she just telekinetically brings herself back. I don't know how much more the Phoenix Force can do than that. I imagine that it would be possible, but that's just what I remember from at least Jean Grey doing it herself, just bringing herself back from the dead. Raven, I actually don't remember the details, but I do know that she can fight basically as, like, she'll die, but then she'll just keep fighting as a ghost, you know? And so like, that's not even death, so how do you kill her then? How do you kill Raven? That's one of the things that I'm hung up on right now. I don't know how to kill Raven. Like, and first I would need to know how Raven could be killed, and then see if Jean Grey could do that, but I don't know how she could be killed. Whereas, like, Jean Grey, like, here's the thing, right? I mean, I just talked about that. Like, I have more specifics about how Jean Grey can bring herself back. But she does have to take time to bring herself back. As far as I'm aware, it's not just a, I'm back, you know? Like, there's time where she has to telekinetically, like, rebuild herself. And so, you know, like, maybe in the long run, she has greater longevity. I don't know. But, like, Raven, when she dies, she's not dead, and then she comes back, but she was never gone. She was just a ghost that still did all that stuff. But another thing that I keep almost getting to, and then something else comes to mind, and so I talk about that instead. I will actually talk about it this time, is that Raven has, like, soul-sucking capabilities. I don't think Jean Grey can do that. But, like, so if Raven were going to be possessed, she could, like, link with them and then absorb them. You know, like the soul absorption. And so whether it was Jean Grey trying to possess her or the Phoenix trying to possess her, she can do that. And that's like on top of Raven having like energy absorption stuff, which I think Jean Grey also had. And so if nothing else, I just kind of think that that counters each other out. You know, that's kind of just what I would think. I don't know if they have different amounts of energy, you know? Like if we're talking about like chakra from Naruto versus the Force from Star Wars, you know, chakra is like an inner amount of energy and the Force is like all around them. I don't know what really the comparison is between like Jean Grey's, like, I mean, she has her own mental energy with telekinesis, telepathy, that kind of thing. But then of course she has the Phoenix Force, but I don't know, like that's the energy I'm referring to. I don't know the extent of that. The source obviously is the Phoenix Force, but like, I don't know how much of that she has, or like, do big attacks like expend some of that? They didn't really talk about that, so I'm not seeing that as an issue, but they also didn't talk about Raven really running out of energy. And does she just get that from darkness? Does she get that from emotion? Does she get that from demons? Like, I don't understand where her energy comes from. And a lot of this was probably said, I'm aware of that, I'm just letting you know that I don't have the answers for you. So, like, if I had to say one person is capable of killing the other, bizarrely enough, because I did not expect this at the beginning of the video, I would think that Raven has the capability of killing Jean Grey because of that soul absorption. Because if Jean Grey was able to piece herself together through mental and soul energy, what if you get rid of the soul part? Will she be unable to piece herself back together after that? Is it not enough just to have that mental energy just kind of just floating in the cosmos, you know? Raven can do that, and I don't know what Jean Grey could do to Raven. So, that's where I am right now. Like, it almost doesn't make sense to talk about durability with Raven, at least, because I don't understand death for her. So if I don't understand what dying means for Raven, how do I even begin to cover durability, you know? Like, if she can die and then just keep fighting anyway, what does that matter? I really don't know how the creation thing lines up with like the Omniverse thing. It seems to me that it would have to be equal or creation is higher. That's just how I have to think of it. If we're doing Omniverse versus creation, I mean like feats that defeat that basically, or at the scale of that, then I would have to think creation is either equal or higher. Which means that I can't give it to Jean Grey. If anything, I'm giving it to Raven. If not, then they're equal, and so I just don't really consider that. They both have these amazing telepathic things where it's like Jean Grey was she basically beat the Mind Stone, right? Yeah, because it was like whatever the moon person was, I don't know, there's a giant floating head in space. With the Mind Stone, and Jean Grey beat that with her own like telepathic powers. But then like Raven wasn't she controlling like a universe's worth of minds or something like that? Oh, this is exhausting to think about. There's so much. I mean, another thing though, like, does mind control, like if Jean Grey used her telepathy to try to mind control Raven, does that count as possession, or is it only like actual physical demonic sorts of possession, like spiritual possession? Does that count? Like, would that initiate a soul sucking of Jean Grey? I don't know. Like, I really thought, aside from just obviously the huge power difference that I thought existed between them, you know, Omniverse or Outerverse or whatever it was, right? Oververse, who knows? Versus Solar System, I thought that's what it was. Aside from that, I thought a big thing was going to be, yeah, like kind of coming back to life, because, you know, Phoenix, so of course you're going to have that. I didn't realize 16 times, but like even in, you know, the like X-Men movies, you know, Jean Grey has died at least once and come back, right? So I really thought Jean Grey was going to just absolutely stomp this one, but I cannot think of how she would actually finish Raven off. And that's probably just because I'm missing something. You know, I'm probably just missing something, but I can't think of it. I can only think of the possibility of how Raven could kill Jean. I don't understand. The issue with Versus Wiki, it really must have been that it was looking at like post-Flashpoint as its biggest feats, and Raven's biggest feats must have just come before that. But it's crazy to me that they don't make note of that. Or that, I mean, I guess like I said, I only looked at the tiers and then what that meant. Or like the tiers themselves and then where the characters fell. I guess I didn't look further. Maybe they do explain. But even on like where it's saying like the characters this tier, maybe just in parentheses like, you know, pre-Flashpoint it was this. Right. Alright, yep, so, like, the way that I'm seeing it, so much of their stuff can kind of just cancel each other out. They have so many abilities that seem to line up, like their telepathy, like their time control, like their teleportation, like that kind of thing, you know? Different sorts of dimension hopping. You know, as far as, like, telepathy and telekinesis, they both have that kind of stuff to different extents, yes. Like, I think telepathy specifically, you know, Jean Grey. Telekinesis, I genuinely don't know. I know that Jean Grey is a better telepath than telekinetic, but I don't know where Raven falls on that. But, you know, they have just so much similar stuff. And again, like, if we're talking power level, like at their peaks, then we seem to have Omniverse versus Creation. And I gotta put Creation, you know, at least equal, if not higher. And then, like, Jean Grey had a lot of amazing feats, which I wish I could tell you what they were specifically. And my biggest thing, though, for Raven is, like, beating Trigon, who, like, effortlessly, from what I recall, maybe it wasn't effortless, took on the entire Justice League at once, like, including pre-Crisis Superman, right? And isn't that Superman, like, at his most powerful? Or am I wrong? That's what I assumed it was when they were saying that, you know? Because they did mention, like, he flew so fast that he broke the bounds of infinity. And, you know, like, Dr. Maybe he's not a doctor. But the guy who fought Doctor Strange in that one death battle previous, the golden helmet dude, right? Like, he flew at the velocity of God, which, what does that even mean? I don't know. But right now, it's just coming down for me to, I can see how Raven would be able to finish off Jean Grey and, like, resist, you know, possession and all of that, right? Not even resist, but, like, use that against Jean Grey or the Phoenix. I don't know how Phoenix could actually finish off Raven for good. Kill her, sure, but then she fights as a ghost, apparently. I don't know how she would finish her off for sure. Like, for good. So, Raven is going to win this one. I can't... And play. Prove me wrong, Death Battle! Prove me wrong!
Come to burn my home to ashes. The demon inside you is too strong to be left alive. I'm sorry. This is for the good of the universe.
That's fair.
Whoa.
You could have tried talking to her first, though. Done some research into, like, the kind of superhero stuff she's been doing. Because, like, the Phoenix Force, you, like, I mean, I guess she did, you know, unalive herself.
Azarath Metreon said no. Darkness.
Knowing what they're capable of, though, a lot of this seems, like, pointless. Like, oh no, you're hurling a building at her. Oh.
Afraid, doubting. You don't control my mind.
I'm so preoccupied with just all of the stats that, like, I keep spacing out, honestly. That's not the end. That's not the end. Yeah. Don't be fooled.
Wait for you now.
That's too easy. Oh dear. Oh, it's a planet.
Let me cleanse you of your demons. Sear and scorch them all away.
I don't believe that's the end either, though. I don't believe this is the end either, though.
Now, I'll take this pain from you.
That was a cool bit of animation.
Enough. I'm taking everything that was
All right, well, here we have the white crown thing.
Where?
To the Phoenix realm, where the Phoenix becomes presumably even more powerful. Not that I know what that means at this point. Then we have White Raven.
Charles, everyone, give me strength. I am not the daughter of the demon. I am a daughter of Nazareth. Nazareth, let's read.
That was a nice touch. That was cool. I would believe this is the end.
I'm home.
Yay!
You know,
Oh my
I
god.
think they could have just talked this one out.
This
I
was
got-
a fighter, and perhaps that's surprising, since Raven's reputation hardly matches that of the almighty Phoenix.
Yeah!
Probably because Raven's always holding back. When she does it, you don't have to dig too deep to see that these two are evenly matched in power.
The Phoenix Force was strong enough to hold back the destruction of all creation, but Raven had multiple showings of battling similarly powerful characters like Trigon and the Spectre, and both could compete with speeds exceeding infinity.
Sure, Jean got a power boost in the White Hot Room, but that didn't make her invincible. The Phoenix has been overpowered there before, like by this big green cat. So throw stats out the window. This fight came down to their abilities.
Both were immeasurably powerful telepaths, both could control matter and time, and both could absorb each other's energy. However, Raven's ability to survive and fight as just her soul meant that most of Jean's offensive arsenal could not end the fight.
The Phoenix Force could have attempted to possess Raven's soul, but Raven has tethered her essence to other similarly powerful beings and absorbed them in the past.
And while the Phoenix's fire has shown to burn souls, Raven's has regenerated from complete disintegration.
On the flip side, Jean actually had very little defense against Raven's soul manipulation. The Phoenix could regenerate Jean's body, but not her spirit.
When Rachel Gray's soul was
gosh.
shattered, the Phoenix was actually incapable of healing it on its own. And while the Phoenix Force itself will be reborn in the White Hot Room, this can take months, years, even centuries.
So it could be one hell of a war of attrition, but ultimately only Raven had the ability to finish this battle.
Jean
Thank
Grey
you.
was one of the strongest beings we've ever seen.
I'm so
But Raven's
tired
own
now.
awesome might, brilliant magic, and unique soul-destroying powers snuffed out her fire for good.
Will the Phoenix rise again, returning from that far, far shore? Quoth the Raven, nevermore.
Nice.
Is Raven.
Claps for Raven. Also glad to hear that Boomstick is well read.
Thanks for watching. Stay tuned. We have a new Death Battle releasing every 2 weeks this year.
Okay.
Click the join button to get new perks and extra content. Planet level members even see Death Battles before anyone else, so don't miss out.
Next time on Death Battle, we have... Oh, what? Okay, Guts. I recognized him. Oh, Fire Emblem, really? Guts versus Dimitri. I didn't know Fire Emblem... I mean, I guess I know they had some, like, OVAs, right? But I thought they were old, and I don't even know... I don't know who Dimitri is, period. At all. That's just weird. A Fire Emblem character. I would not have expected a Fire Emblem character, period, let alone one that I did not even know of, you know? Like, if there was going to be one, I would have assumed, I don't know, just like one of the... Maybe Dimitri, I shouldn't say that. Maybe Dimitri is a huge part of the lore. Maybe he is a fan favorite. I just figured they would have gone with someone from, like, Smash Bros, right? Because those ones, typically, I would assume, are the big fan favorites or whatever. Anyway, let's talk about this death battle. I'm exhausted, yay me. I really... That was such... I don't know. I mean, it's probably... Okay, so, like, yesterday... so, like, a month ago, my room flooded. I have problems, mental issues. So like a month ago my room flooded and I thought we had kind of cleaned up most of it, you know. I know that I didn't clean up all of it because I just like, I mentally couldn't, you know, and so, but I was like, the rest of it will dry because it wasn't that bad at that point. But then like I spent some time upstairs just like a couple days ago, right? And then I came back to my room and I was like, why does my room smell spicy? And so like I started exploring and I found out that like the back corner was like actually still soaked. And I guess it either had been for a month or like there was another leak that just kind of like redid it. Like I genuinely don't know. But yesterday we had to like remove all the carpet. We tore up all the carpet padding and threw it away. I had to throw away a lot of boxes that were destroyed and like gaming stuff, you know, etc., etc. And then other things happened yesterday, more minor, but it was still just other things. Like my desk. one of the legs just broke, just collapsed while I was at my computer, and like I had to catch and like hold up my desk, and like my second monitor fell off and the HDMI cable just like snapped, and junk food that I had on the desk just kind of like went everywhere. It's like more minor, but it was still really obnoxious, etc. So like I didn't, so that's why, by the way, the death battle, at least one of the reasons, because at this point, I don't know if I had to like fix copyright music, right, you know? But that's one of the reasons that the death battle is not like on a Monday, you know, when it initially comes out, like Sunday for first members. Because I've just been exhausted. I didn't think I was gonna record today, but I wanted to get it out of the way, frankly, and I didn't feel awful. I didn't feel the best, but I didn't feel awful, so I wanted to do it. Why did I start talking about, oh right, just talk about why I'm like fried, my brain's fried. And then this didn't help, because it was like, it was so unexpected, and I felt like I felt like I must have been missing something, you know, but then I didn't know if I was missing multiple somethings, or that if the somethings that I were missing, like if they even mattered. So I'm grateful that I guessed things correctly. Not guessed, you know, like I put it together correctly. Just about like the spirit stuff. That was the biggest thing, right? Where it's like Jean Grey just couldn't combat the her spirit being destroyed, and you know, Raven could basically resist possession and, you know, use that to her advantage. Basically, that was basically what it boiled down to for me, because a lot of the other stuff, yeah, just seemed to negate between the two characters. And so, you know, who could actually finish the other person off? The only thing I could think of was Raven with that soul stuff, and that's what they talked about in the conclusion. So I feel justified in my own prediction, like in my arguments, you know. I feel like I was correct. Overall, at least. Was I wrong about some things? Like, probably. I usually am. But I was correct enough. And, like, I'm pleased. Hope that y'all are pleased with my performance there. So, like, you know, like, I'm satisfied with their, like, the analyses portions of this episode, because, like, I thought it was educational. Excuse me. I felt like I was told what I needed to know in order to determine the outcome. I mean, I must have been right to some extent. Like, I must have gotten the right information, because, again, I gave the correct outcome based upon death battle, you know? Obviously, people are going to disagree. People always disagree. But based upon what death battle thinks and why they thought that, I did pick up what I was supposed to pick up from the analyses. Yeah, so I don't have complaints about the analyses. And then the animation, like, it wasn't my favorite. I thought the beginning in particular was just kind of slow, and some of the animation, you know, it was clunkier than I would like. Not to the same extent that a lot of like the 3D stuff has been recently. Not the last one. The last animation was great. But I just know that like recently I've talked a lot about like clunkiness, stiffness, and like the 3D animations in particular. And the 2D animations have they've gotten more of a pass on that from me. The beginning of this fight still had some of those that I've complained about, but I thought that a lot of the effects were really cool. I really liked how they did the Phoenix. I really liked how they did the Raven. I really liked how they went through their different kinds of like transformations, or their different forms, you know, with like White Raven and White Phoenix, and then the steps in between. Like, you could see Jean Grey's outfit changing quite a bit. And I liked that. I thought it was cool. I think the story behind it made sense enough, you know? I agree with Boomster, where it's like, they probably could have just talked it out, you know, instead of having to kill one of them. But it did make sense enough where it's like Jean Grey being this telepath who could just enter the minds of people across the universe, or universes, right? Yeah, she could like identify Raven, if not hear about her and her heroic exploits and that kind of thing, and then, you know, figure that she has to do something about it. It made sense. And like why she would, like how she would be able to know Raven was there, how she could show up there, because she has all of these crazy abilities where, yeah, that all seems justified to me. So I'm satisfied with the story. Well done. Pats on the back to you. And yeah, the animation overall, I did enjoy. It's still not my favorite. Like I said at the beginning, had some clunkiness and stuff that I didn't really like. I will totally admit, like I did during the fight, that at that point in the beginning, I was still trying to wrangle in my brain, wrangle in my attention, my focus, to actually watch. And so maybe a lot of that clunkiness was just because my brain kept switching on and off, thinking about you know, the prediction and like the arguments I was making, right? Cause I just had to stop the prediction because I realized I was going in circles. I wasn't getting anywhere new. It was just, I had these like I had the stuff for Raven, how she could kill Jean Grey, didn't have the other way around, but I kept trying to think. I just had to stop myself. So when the fight started, my brain wasn't really done because it had not been entirely satisfied, but like, I had to move on at some point. So once I brought that up in the fight, I did try to focus a lot more on the battle animation itself, and like maybe honestly that's what it was. Maybe it's just once I started focusing, then the fight, I appreciated it more, like the animation for what it was. So, you know what, I mean, as always, take it with a grain of salt. But I liked what they did with it, especially the ending, like the fake outs I thought were cool, and just, you know, seeing Raven like at peace at the end, that was really nice. And I did like that they had Jean take Raven into like the White Room or whatever it was called. Because yeah, that's where the Phoenix becomes even more powerful, and like what a way to show that, yeah, even with that, Raven still just had the right means to be able to take Jean Grey out. And just animation wise in particular, yeah, the way when they changed the animation from the 2D sprites to like the more traditional 2D animation, with taking her soul away with like blowing out the flame, that was a really cool moment. I really like that. So I think that that's all that I have to say about this death battle. I thought it was really good. It's not my favorite, but like I did thoroughly enjoy it, and it was one of those that, you know, like mind boggled me. And again, like I did talk a lot about why I was already brain fried from like the flooding in the room and just kind of a little bit of general lack of sleep and that sort of thing. But, I feel like the matchup here and just I thought the Raven was solar system level, and the mind-blowingness that followed that, you know, all the revelations in this, that contributed, it must have. So it made this death battle more interesting for me, just because I got to have this crazy experience with it. And I hope that you got to enjoy that experience as well. Yeah. Another thing, so I do, you know, again, want to thank my Patreon patrons, because really, like, you just provide so much for my life, and I just appreciate that, because it's so nice being able to just buy something now and then. And I'm such like a broken individual that, yeah, it means a lot. Then another thing I wanted to say is that if you were looking forward to me continuing Final Fantasy IV, I have good news for you. It's no longer just words. I recorded more. Not only did I record more, I recorded enough that I have now beaten Final Fantasy IV on camera. I just need to edit and render and upload. So when am I going to get around to doing that? I don't know. But it's no longer this vague hypothetical of like, I plan to keep playing it. I have played it. I will upload it. Okay? So it's just a matter of when. And I'm almost done editing the first episode of it. Like the first episode of like since my like year-long break. But for anyone who was waiting for that, just know it is coming. So yeah, all right. I'm rambling. I love you. Well, I love the nice ones of you. If you don't feel you've earned this, then be nice. Gosh dang it. Stop being a dick. All right, with that, we're calling it here. Have a good one, everybody.